Here's what you'll need for the Beekeeper's Choice granola. Now this is a container that I keep with all my ingredients in it, except for the oats themselves. Now the oats are going to come in a bag. Maybe you'll be able to get them at a bulk food store like this. But this is the finished cooked oats. We're going to get to that later. So you're going to need oil. I always put vanilla in, and then here's the finished granola. So you can see we have dried cranberries, dried raisins, of course, which are dried grapes, hazelnuts, pumpkin seeds. There's all kinds of nuts in there and seeds. And so these are 2 containers that I've already filled. I use this gadget, which is used for my home preserves, for filling the jars. Just makes it easier. And you may be a really good aim, and you may be able to get everything in your jars yourself. You don't need to use jars either, but I do. I like to use jars, and I have these old jars which I treasure. So we have walnuts going into the kit, pumpkin seeds going into the kit, hazelnuts, raisins, and you guessed it, this is so I can find everything and I can do a quick inventory when I'm going to make another batch and make sure I have everything I need. So cranberries, dried cranberries, almonds, I use the raw ones, dry roasted peanuts. This is the first time I've used peanuts. We'll see how I like that. I might continue using them and I might not. And sunflower seeds. Now I also like to put sesame seeds in, but I don't have any right now, and that's fine because I can add that later. So here it is all mixed, and in the next segments you're going to see how the white oats end up going so nice and toasty looking like that. And then I use this measuring cup for measuring out my dry ingredients. And I use my big roasting pan. You can see it still has the remnants from the last batch. And I use this big wooden spoon to mix. So the oil and the honey go into the pot, and I just heat it up so that it's nice and warm, and it's absorbed by the oats much better. And so we'll get started. We're making granola today. And now I like to use my roaster because it does a nice even bake. And I bake this at 300, and it takes a long time. Now the bag of oatmeal that I have is a 2 1/4 kilogram, so that's 2.25 kilogram bag of large flake whole oats. And that's the only kind to use for granola. Do not go into the minute oatmeal. And so now what I'm doing here is I've already combined my oil and my honey, and I put them on the stove. I like putting them on the stove and heating them up so that they flow much better and absorb into the oatmeal much better. And I would just tip the pan and then pull them up and stir very, very well. Now this batch is going to be quite sweet because I do have probably 3 cups of honey in here. And the amount of oil that I used was about 2 cups. You're going to play with this. Now you see there's some dry oats right there. You can see they're white, they're not golden. So that's why you stir and stir and stir until these are evenly coated. Then you get this pan into your oven and you keep stirring at intervals. I start out with 20-minute intervals, and then I adjust. Maybe I need to stir every 10 minutes. Maybe I need to stir every half hour or 40 minutes, but I just keep investigating and reassessing. Now there's some more white oats that need to be better covered in the oil and honey mixture. I want to tell you about one other thing that I put in here, which is a common theme in all of my dishes that are sweet dishes. I have yet to use this in a meat dish, but who knows, is vanilla. I did use some vanilla in here as well, and I will put cinnamon in at a certain stage. I'm not going to put it in now. There's a lot of ingredients in granola that I put in later, after the roasting is done, because I don't want them to burn or to dry out too much, like the seeds and the nuts and the dried fruits. I don't want them to burn. I don't want them to dry out too much, and that's where I put the cinnamon as well, is into that category. So we'll see you at the next stage. Here's the first look at the first attempt to stir up the oats. Now they've been in the oven for actually longer than I said earlier, longer than the 20 minutes, because I had to run out and get a few things. So I'm back, and these are really golden brown, and you can see now when I turn them that we have all these unbaked oats underneath. So the thing about granola is that the oats are baked. They're kind of they become a little toasty. So that's the flavor that you're after, is that toasty flavor. So you don't want raw oats in your granola. So stir it up well and then put it back in the oven. So keep stirring, keep stirring, keep stirring. Stir this until you think you've stirred enough, and then stir some more. Make sure it's well incorporated, all of the stuff that's already looking like it's toasted enough. Keep stirring. And then we'll get to the finished stage and we'll come back and show you what that looks like. Here we are with the second time out of the oven. Now it's getting darker and darker. As you can see, there's little difference between the underside and the top side. And now we need to stir this and stir it and stir it and stir it before it goes back into the oven. So you just keep doing this. Make sure it's well stirred. You will start noticing that there's a difference in the sheen on the oats as well. They'll appear to be drier. That's what you're looking for, is that absorption level, and the toasting of the oats is going to give that appearance of them having absorbed the oil and the honey. Another sweetener that I like to use is maple syrup. So you can regionalize your granola by using those kinds of regional sweeteners that are available. But being that I was a beekeeper at one point, I have hundreds and hundreds of pounds of honey. So I'm using the honey. The oil that I used is simply a vegetable oil. I have used in the past walnut oil. Those specialty oils add a different flavor. They are absolutely delicious, so let your imagination run away with you when you're making your granola. Out of the oven once again. And now let's see. You can see that the difference in color is marginal. So you can continue toasting at this point, or you can say, you know what, this is good enough. I'm going to put this back in for, I'm going to say 10 minutes. I do want it just a little bit darker. So I'm going to go back in the oven for 10 minutes and then we'll come back. This is the last time in the oven. So we can see that the top level is the same color as the bottom level. And this was in for another 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm satisfied that this is as dark as I want to go. And now I'll let this cool. And once it's cooled, now during the cooling process you still need to stir it or you'll end up with one big chunk of granola. So still keep coming back to it about every 10 to 15 minutes and give it a stir, or it starts to adhere to itself and become big chunks. And then we start the fun part, and that is adding all of the different items. For some people, this would be it. You just want it this way, and then you can customize with each and every bowl. But I'm going to be adding a few things as we go along. So this is the cooling process, and next time, next segment, you'll be going into the additions to your granola. But this is the basic recipe. Enjoy. Our toasted oats for our granola are all cooled down now. Now you can hear that sound? That means they're crunchy. That's what you're hearing. So that means they're cooked. So now I'm going to put them into a few other containers. Because what I want to do is I want to keep some of this for myself, and I want to keep the rest for my grandson's visit. When my grandson visits, we will make a few different batches of granola. He'll decide what he wants to put in them for his parents and for his other grandparents. So that's what I'm doing here, making sure that he has some. This will also help him get interested in oatmeal as a breakfast item, which at this point is not his favorite. He does like the oatmeal cookies though, so there is hope. So now I'm going to put the lid on this. I have my cinnamon and my cloves here. I decided I'm going to put some cloves in the remainder of the granola that I have here. And I'll put some raisins in, and I have lots of nuts and seeds, and I'm also going to put some hemp hearts in here. So we'll do that next. I have prepared everything for the final mixing. So here's an overview of the dishes I've prepared that will go into the granola now that we've roasted the oats with honey and oil. And now, as I said, I did put some vanilla into the honey and oil. I could have also, during the roasting process, added the cinnamon, but I decided not to. Now, I also have here cloves. I'm going to put a little bit of cloves. I won't put that much because cloves are pretty strong. So here's what I have. I have separated my batches because I'm reserving a batch in a great big jar that I have for my grandson and myself to customize, and then he'll take that home for his family. So he might not like all of what I have here, but I'll lay this out for him as well, and then we'll make a decision as we go along, and he'll decide what he wants to put in and how much. The other thing about this is don't worry if you don't have enough peanuts, for example. Peanuts, this is my first time putting peanuts in, so I'm not going to put very many. I like the sunflower seeds, so I'll put all of this. I will put all of this, but in my next batch I might put more. But the beauty of this is that you can customize each bowl as well. So let's get started, and then it's just a matter of mixing. So here we go with our first ingredient being the cinnamon. So I'll sprinkle the cinnamon. So you can see that for about, I probably have 6 cups here. So for 6 cups, I've used a couple of tablespoons of cinnamon and a half a tablespoon of cloves. Now I have the pumpkin seeds and the walnuts. Walnut pieces, not halves. Walnut pieces are easier, and I get my walnut pieces from California. I don't buy any other walnuts because the regulations for pesticides in California, I trust. Okay, now the peanuts and the sunflower seeds. There we go. So we just mix it again. Now I have cranberries and Thompson raisins. You can also get dried citrus peel. I don't put that in here because some of my family doesn't like it, and I'm allergic to oranges. But you can. And then there's dried apricots. There's dried blueberries. We always use frozen wild blueberries here in this household. So we sprinkle that on top at the time that we put our bowl together. And then almonds and hazelnuts. I love hazelnuts. They've been a favorite of mine since I was a child. And so we're done. So now this is how it looks. And now I will put it in jars that I have. You can also put it in any kind of plastic container. I have glass containers for my oatmeal, or my granola. You can also use a tin. My sister has a wonderful cookie tin that she fills with her granola. It's really deep and big, and that's what she uses. And so enjoy.